me, it's always been about taking care of my employees. I love them. They're my family. And so it's kind of like when you ask somebody, why are you a father? Because I love my children and I love taking care of them and I love being part of their life. I look at our employees the same exact way, which is why I won't quit.
Welcome to the $100 Million Mindset, the source for business owners who aspire to scale, grow, and reach their full potential. Whether you're aiming for 5 million, 10 million, or 100 million. Your hosts are Alan O'Neill, the Irish plumber, who scaled Abacus Plumbing and Cooling to over 100 million, and table lounger Todd Liles. A coach to high-performing business leaders and the owner of Service Excellence are going to help you think bigger, act smarter, and take your business to the next level.
Welcome back to the $100 Million Mindset. This is part 2 with Stacie Feller. And this part we're calling Rebuilding and Resilience, the hard-won lessons from Koala and KangaRoof. Now, in our last episode, we walked through the storm of 2021, the surge that pushed Kanga from 12 million to 22 million, and then the crash that followed, layoffs, a little bit of broken trust, and leadership tested at every single level.
But this isn't the story about falling down. It's about standing back up. Today we'll unpack how Stacie Feller is rebuilding, the win she found in the middle of the struggle, and what she wants every business owner to know about managing explosive growth.
So if you haven't listened to part number 1, what I'd recommend is that you go back and that you start there. And if you're ready for this lesson of recovery and resilience, then stay with us. Stacie, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Well, Stacie, we are now moving into the rebuilding positive zones, all things moving forward. My big inside quote here is that you said, I haven't quit. I haven't quit. Mm-hmm. After the storm and the crash, you found yourself balancing the two companies. You were being pulled between Kanga, which fell back to 9, and also having to step into Koala. So you were rebuilding after lots of challenges, failures you might call them. Failures might be a little bit of a harsh word because they weren't intentional, but there were a lot of failures. But through all that, you held on to the key players of your team, and you and your team refused to quit.
Absolutely.
So give us the picture today. Where are we with Kanga and Koala right now?
I like to say the season we're in right now, because I think in life we all go through different seasons in life, and sometimes we're in a valley, sometimes we're on the mountaintop. But this season, I kind of calling it early fall, early autumn, because we're kind of in a pruning season for Koala. And kind of a rebuilding of that. On the Kanga side, we're pretty steady. It has been a slow year, but I've when I talk to other people in the industry, it's really kind of where the economy is on the roofing side right now. But we're holding our own, and so we will end the year probably about 9 million is probably where we're anticipating, and that's a decent year. It's not something to write home about, but I'll take it. One of the things that I write down, I have a gratitude journal that I write down every morning, is that I'm grateful for the sales we do have. Because I remind myself and Scott all the time, there are people that would kill for the problems we have.
Right.
And so,
absolutely.
you know what? So I'm going to be grateful for what we have. On Koala side, we had some leadership hiccups, struggles. We had a relationship that didn't work with a couple of partners earlier this year, where we had to make some changes there, which meant that Scott and I had to step back in full time. So my personality leads much more to jump in, get it done right now. We got to get this done. Whereas Scott's way more laid back, big picture guy, but slower moving on stuff. So the Koala need was for me to jump right back in, which was nice because my staff has been with me at Kanga for so long. I kind of just stepped away from them for about 5 or 6 months this year, and they kept the ship steady. I mean, they have run it just like it needed to be done. And I couldn't be happier with them I am. Thrilled.
And you were working on your air conditioning, your Koala side at that time?
At that time, Scott and I pretty much moved full-time back into the Koala side because we had been out of it for about a year. And so there were actually employees that didn't even know who we were whenever we stepped back in the,
Wow.
And unfortunately, the direction the business had been going was not a direction that we wanted to continue down.
hmm
And so we've really had to break it down, prune,
Hmm.
unfortunately, and start building back up. And so we're at the bottom of that now, and we're moving into that up curve of building it back up. Really excited on where we're headed with it.
Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing that. We,
Mhm.
we didn't talk about it in the last episode, even though it was in my question. I skipped
Yeah.
over it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you had some real breaking of trust issues at your HVAC department, and
Mhm.
you're having to work through that now,
Mhm.
which just makes me wonder if the voices that you listen to, going back to that theme, keep
Mhm.
getting smaller and smaller.
Oh, 100 a million percent, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, one of the best books I've read, which has helped me with a lot of clarity on this, is, Dr. Henry Cloud's Necessary Endings.
Oh,
It is a phenomenal book, that walks through, the different types of folks, and, there are things in that book that as I read it, I was like, "Shoulda seen that, shoulda seen that, shoulda seen that," and, so, yeah, so my circle has gotten
Right.
much
Yeah.
smaller, um, of who I listen to.
thanks for the
Yeah,
recommendation.
Yeah.
yeah.
So you said you're most proud of the fact you haven't quit, Stacie. Why does that matter so much to you?
Well, I know there's people who think I have an ego. I really don't have an ego. But it's important to me. I don't like letting people down.
Hmm.
And um, I care so much about my staff and they work so hard. I don't want to let them down. And if I quit, they're just without. And it doesn't mean they can't go find another job somewhere. But I kind of talked like I talked about in the first segment. There's the employment and the trades services, there are good people out there. There's also a lot of bad players out there.
Yeah.
You probably had employees that have worked for horrible bosses. And
We've heard some stories.
yeah,
I can tell
that
you for
you just
sure.
want to
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And so yeah, so it's just one of those things. And a lot of it I get from my husband. He's just never been we'll figure it out. We'll work it out. It'll
Hmm.
be just fine. I actually had an employee that came to me several couple of years ago, um, uh, um, not a believer, and he asked me, "How do you keep going through all this? How do you?" And I talked about, you know, Scott keeps me encouraged. I mean, he's a big one. No, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna dig in. We're gonna figure it out. But at the end of the day, I also have a lot of faith. My faith is extremely strong, and I'm very, very thankful for my parents bringing me up that way
Hmm.
because I know at the end of the day, through all of this, God's gonna take care of things.
Yeah.
Whether that means we have another storm, whether that means we stay at $9 million forever, He's gonna provide what I need,
Yeah.
and we're gonna make it through this.
So I want to
So,
ask you a question about that.
yeah.
In the last episode, I described that there's usually a more powerful conversation that happens offline.
Mhm.
And I'm going to reveal something that happened offline. And I don't think it's inappropriate because I don't think it's not harmful for sure. I actually think it's edifying. But Alan, did I tell you about the conversation that Gus and I had after the show?
I don't think you did.
I love Gus.
Yeah.
Well, Gus from Milestone, after the show, we were talking, and I asked him how his faith applies to what he does in business,
How long did you have?
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he's very open about it, which is why I don't think this
I
is.
agree.
Yeah, I think he'd be fine with it.
Mhm.
So it sort of happened. He said, because I said, why haven't you sold? And he said, well, not
Mhm.
that I hadn't considered it, but I look at my business as its goal is to essentially be a place where I get to witness. It's sort of like,
Mhm.
for lack of a better term, I'm using the word church. He didn't use
Mhm.
that.
Hmm.
And he said, Todd, there's nowhere in the Bible that I've ever seen that says a man is supposed to build up riches here on earth. That's supposed to be somewhere else. And he goes, if I sold this business, I would give up my greatest ability to reach people for God. And I was like, yeah, I don't think Gus is selling.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I mean, he might one day,
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And if he
uh,
does, great.
but
Yeah.
but if he does, it would only be because he's figured out how he could use that money to make the
Mhm.
mission stronger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it brings, when you say your faith is so strong,
Mhm.
and I believe you that it is,
Mhm.
What it actually makes me think about is Gus has a reason way beyond business to run Milestone.
Absolutely.
What would
Yeah.
you say your reason for Kanga is?
So mine is it's always been about the employees, and I know that's probably the wrong answer that most we go to these conferences and stuff, and they talk about, take care of your customer and all, the customer's always right and take care. To me, it's always been about taking care of my employees. Um, I just I love them. They are my family, and so it's kinda like when you ask somebody, "Why are you a father?" Because I love my children, and I love taking care of them, and I love being part of their life. I look at my employees our employees the same exact way, which is why I won't quit. I
Mhm.
won't give up because, um, they deserve better,
Yeah.
and they deserve to be taken care of for the work that they do, and if I can make an impact on their life and their family and their kids, then that's what I need. Yeah.
I'm going to use another Ziglar quote here because when I heard this particular quote by Zig Ziglar, I think I was searching for what was fulfilling me in business,
Mhm.
and I knew I was getting a kick from something, but I just couldn't put my finger on what it was. But Zig Ziglar said, "You can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want."
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I start really taking pleasure from seeing people
Mhm.
blossom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Becoming plumbers,
Yep.
becoming trained air conditioning techs, becoming
Mhm.
licensed electricians, and building lives and building
Yeah.
families and building homes and buying cars and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And like it's very, very satisfying to know that you possibly change somebody's family tree, right?
Absolutely.
So I totally get where you're coming
Yeah.
from, Stacie, with that. It's so gratifying, I think, at the end of because
Yeah.
you can win awards and you can do all this stuff and have record revenue. Does any of it matter if you're not taking care of people along the way? So anyway, I'm totally resonating with what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So even in the middle of financial and operational pain, there were bright spots.
Mhm.
Clarity about which people to trust, a reviewed focus on the basics, and the resilience to keep pressing forward. So, what were the biggest positives that have come out of the last few years, Stacie?
The biggest positives out of the last few years. Well, clarity is a great word. I've become very clear. Scott and I've become very clear what we want, where we want to go. Um, and that doesn't mean it won't change some, but that's been a big piece of it. So, some of the wins are seeing some of my staff I'm being able to promote. Brenda is now my COO. Brenda started out with me in gosh, it's probably I think it's been 7 years ago now, maybe 8, and when Brenda came in, she was, doing insurance paperwork, she was doing supplement paperwork for another roofing had done it before. She was
Right.
not working at the time, and whenever I interviewed her, she had a two-week-old baby,
Mhm.
and when she told me, she said, "I need to find somebody to watch my baby before I come in to interview," and I was like, "What's the baby gonna do? Just bring them in, they'll sit in the car seat while we interview."
Hmm.
And, but I couldn't afford her. And so I said, "Here, I'll make a deal. I can pay you this much an hour," which was way less than what she was worth. "And you can bring him to work with you. So that way you don't have to pay daycare." And she's like, "I'll take it." And baby Seth stayed with us for a year until, and she's now my COO.
Wow.
I
Wow.
mean, but being able to see her grow and see some of those things. Um, my daughter works. She runs the production department now. She's been there 5 years. To be able to see her have the passion for her folks,
Yeah.
that she's got of taking care of them. So those wins have been a big part of it, of really what I've enjoyed. Seeing families, my sales team, it's really funny. I look back to the sales team now.
Constantly having babies.
Right, that's what I was exactly what I was gonna say. Between Craig and Matt and all of them, I mean, they're all young families now, and so we have seen so many births of new babies. Seems like for a while there, it was every one of them had a wife that was pregnant, at the time, and that's just been so much fun to be able to experience and know that we can be a part of it. And so, yeah, that's probably been the biggest reward for
Yeah.
me.
I'm gonna double click on clarity. You said clarity, and you said two things. We know what we want,
Mm-hmm.
and we know where we want to go.
Mm-hmm.
We want to know what you want and where you want to go.
What I want is some stability in this industry. If we're talking about roofing, okay, because it's different from roofing than the HVAC and plumbing. And when I say stability, that's one of the big things that I'm going to be focusing on in the next couple of years, because I know this is not a 1 year thing that it's going to take to do this. But as I mentioned before, it's, in roofing, the it goes here, then it goes up, and we're real busy, and then it goes down. Okay, why? Why in Texas does that happen? Now, I understand why it happens in Maine, because you can't roof in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
We can roof year round. So why are we not selling year round? And I think a big, big part of it is our mindset. And I'm guilty of it. I will be the number one guilty person for it. And so I've told my staff, if you hear me say it, you correct me. But I'm starting this. Don't talk about the slow season. What do you mean we're going into everybody's,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
going to the slow season now. No, we don't have much work this time, and we can roof year round. I mean, the only time we don't roof if it's below 40 degrees for several days in a row. Well, that doesn't happen a lot here. And so, so from where we're going, what my plan is to make my company, love to change the industry, but I'm focusing first on my company, make it more level year round.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean take what happens in the summer and push it down where it levels out all year long.
Right.
Okay. That means bring up these shoulder times,
months, yeah.
bring them up
Mm-hmm.
to the summertime highs that we have. And so I got to figure out how to do that. And my coach has been pushing me on that for years. Is how do you make this business not so storm dependent? Catch the storms when they come.
Mm-hmm.
Take full advantage of when they come, but don't be dependent on them.
Okay. You got my coaching hat on now, so I have some basic questions.
Okay.
How many club memberships do you have off the top of your head?
Oh, probably about 300.
And then my next question was going to be, of those 300, how many of them are people that you actually put a roof on for? So you know that they're nowhere near their replacement cycle.
Not many. I ran the numbers because it's funny. The nice thing about the group that we're part of is that I've got roofers across the country. So last week I sent out a text to like 8 of them. And I said, hey, anybody got time on this next Thursday to just brainstorm with me how to do this? And I had 4 of them jump on. And club membership was a big conversation that we have. And I've got some great ideas on how to do that. I don't really want to share them with my competition at the moment.
You don't have to share them.
But
you don't have to share.
But I've got some. But yes, that is I think we've replaced out of my club memberships 12 roofs in the last 2 years.
Yeah,
So my club members are ripe for new roofs eventually.
Yeah, the answer to your question is you just need more people that are in a membership program.
Mm-hmm.
But where I would challenge you to contemplate is, what is the membership program that you're offering?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't really need a membership program. What you need is to be doing an inspection once a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that could be part of a membership
Mm-hmm.
program. You could call it that. You could call it something else. But
Mm-hmm.
if you want your busy season or if you want your slow season not to be busy, you just need to fill in the gaps with opportunity and know what that conversion rate is.
Yep. And part of that also is educating the customer that because a lot of customers, it's funny. We have 2 ends of the spectrum. We have customers that in August will say, "Oh, I don't want those guys having to work up there in the summer at this time of the year. Let's wait and do it in the fall."
Mm-hmm.
And what I always tell them is, these guys like to feed their families in the summer too.
Right.
Give me your slow seasons again.
Slow season starts about October and runs through February. Starts picking back up in March.
Got it.
And why do you think that's the slow season?
I think it's an industry mindset amongst because there's no storms.
Right.
And this is a storm-driven industry.
Right.
And so storms happen March, April. You do all the work, and then holidays come, school starts back. So people are focused on other things. I mean, we got Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas all in a row.
Yeah.
So people have their focus elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then January they're recouping from what the money they spent at Christmas time. And then, February is kind of like, okay, credit card bills are coming in now.
Right.
And then storm season happens. So a lot of it is customer education. I think part of it
Yeah.
is that this is just as good a time to do your roof.
Well, I work with a guy, Stacie, called Kevin Comerford. I don't know if you know Kevin. Kevin says, our business is not weather driven, WEATHER. It's weather driven, WHETHER. It's whether you have the mindset,
Right.
we can get past this. And I'll take you back to an example in my company. So in 2008, there was a recession. You remember 2008. And every time you turned on the TV, they were talking about the recession and doom and gloom and,
Yep. Yep.
And I made the decision early in the year. I said, look, I told my staff we're not going to participate in this recession. And I kept saying it and kept saying it and kept saying it and kept saying it.
I like that. We're not going to participate in it.
We're
opting out.
We literally, we had a fantastic year,
Yep.
2008. I don't remember the numbers, but we way exceeded our budget. But I actually had a customer call me and tell me, one of your guys just told me you guys aren't participating in the recession.
That's fantastic.
And I was like, great, it's
It's
working.
still done.
So I'm just saying, I'm just saying, I do think it's weather, WHETHER driven, because I think it's up to you as a leader to get out in front of it and say,
Yeah.
look, guys, we are not participating in the slow season this year. We are going to figure out ways to get work.
Yep.
I mean, what springs to my mind, as Todd said, inspections, get on the roof, inspect all the flashings, do all the thing, maybe even have a complimentary roof clean. I don't know what that will cost you, but if you're on the roof, you can sell a roof. You can't sell a roof talking about it in the office,
Yep. Yep. So I'm also entertaining some, with having the two companies, they're complementary services. And so one of the biggest struggles we have is the fact that they're two separate companies and we're in two separate buildings.
Right.
And so I've worked on this, we are two companies, one family. And
Do they refer each other?
So we are starting that.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of that before. Now that Scott and I are back over there, there's way more. We've done a couple of different, we went bowling at one time. We've had some Christmas parties together. So we've done that kind of stuff together. But now each one, like at Kanga, we do a first Monday breakfast where everybody comes into the office because I have 5 ladies that work from home and our salespeople. So everybody comes in. So that's when we do our spins and we do our birthdays and anniversaries and stuff like that. But everybody gets to see each other. That actually came from an employee recommendation. After COVID, we went virtual. And so we would do our Monday morning meeting virtual. And after about 2 years, he came to me and he said, I really miss seeing the production guys. And he says, it just kind of feels like we kind of lost him a little bit. And I was like, well, then let's get that back. So Kanga does a first Monday. Koala does a first Tuesday. Because that's when their training days are.
Right.
And so I'm actually going to merge those. And we're going to have where both companies will have a breakfast once a month, everybody together, and we'll flip-flop from buildings.
That's good.
So it's not always on one.
I assume they both know they're connected.
They do.
Yeah.
They both know they're connected. And they know each other. But we got to get more of that ingrained.
Did you ever implement a referral fee?
I have not, but that's a great idea.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that worked for us where, we have multiple trades. So we'd say, hey, if you turn over a lead from plumbing to air conditioning and it sells, it's 1% or 2%, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It's significant because all they're doing is turning over the lead.
Well, and that's my point. If my HVAC guy is out there and he sees hell ding on that unit outside, he needs to be calling my roofing office going, somebody needs to come look at this roof.
Or the HVAC guy is in the attic and he sees daylight coming through a flashing or something. I can think of lots of things. Yeah.
So this afternoon, we're going to record with Aaron Behunen. Is that how you say it?
Aaron Behoon. Yeah, I think is the way you pronounce it.
Yeah, so that is the new GM at Abacus in Austin.
Yeah.
Has Aaron told you what he's implemented there yet in terms of how the service departments report?
No, I'm fairly disconnected from that now, Todd. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna throw something out here, and it's just something to contemplate. And I think Aaron's the first person that I've heard do this, and I'm going, oh, that's fairly fascinating. Hopefully, I'm not giving away a secret sauce.
No, I think you're fine, Todd.
They've got electrical, plumbing, and air conditioning. He has all the service technicians now just reporting to the service manager. They're not split up amongst the 3. And his point and it makes a very valid point, is that a service manager is a service manager, and they should be able to manage the plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. Now, from your standpoint over here, and I may not be giving it pure justice, but from your standpoint and Alan's standpoint, I'm sitting here thinking the same. It's like if
Mhm.
I'm an HVAC guy and I'm in the attic,
Mhm.
I see one of the most critical parts of the roof, and I know that that critical part of the roof often isn't looked at by roofers.
Mhm.
They see it from a different perspective.
Mhm.
If they were reporting to the same department
Mhm.
manager, well, now you're getting synergy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you do
Yeah.
this. I haven't
Yeah.
thought this through. We're just
It's
brainstorming.
interesting. It's
It's
an interesting
interesting.
concept. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And we can't help ourselves, Alan. We went from
No,
being
yeah,
podcast hosts
yeah.
to coaches and
Coaching.
consultants. So, but there's some things that you could potentially explore to up that synergy.
Yeah. One of my long-term goals is I want to get us all in one building
Mhm.
because I think that's a big synergy piece.
Yeah.
To be able to see each other regularly and to be able, if HVAC sees something, to be able to just walk over to
Mhm.
the corresponding
Yeah.
person over in roofing and be able to say, "Hey, can you take a look at this?" So we're building that, and we'll
That's
get
great.
there eventually. But that's kind of where we're going.
What is your perspective? Because that's what you said. We know where we want to go. So I'm going to combine that
Mhm.
with my next question. Where do you want to go? And how has this perspective on growth and opportunity changed since the storm?
Well, I used to say whenever first started working with Scott, and I kind of thought about where we would go, is we wanted to be a $30 million roofing company.
Hmm.
Okay, um, I still think that's possible. Um, I think it's slower. I need to take it slower than what I anticipated it being. But that's changed a little bit. To that, yeah, that's what I want. A $30 million company would be great. Um, but more so, I want a steady, profitable, solid company. And when I mean solid, it sounds like I'm beating a drum here, but it's with the solid, with the people can come in every day and love their job, want to do it, and feel no need to go anywhere else. And we just replicate it day after day after day after day after day. And that it's just stability. I'm risk averse for the most part.
Mhm.
And so stability means a lot to me. And I know it means a lot to my staff.
Yeah.
And so these wild swings that we can have with these storms, it's for a person like me, it kind of uproots me a little bit. And I want to try to create that stability for others.
Stacie, you said if explosive growth comes again,
Mhm.
you'll be ready.
Hmm.
Talk to us about that a
Okay.
little bit.
Well, we've talked about it quite a bit at our office, and with the very beginning of the season, but about February, we start rehashing those things. Okay, let's go back over what happens when we have a storm, because there are certain triggers that have to happen, and the triggers start with when the storm happens from our marketing folks,
Right.
where ads go, kind of what we're doing there, and sometimes it's turning ads off because I don't need to spend the money on the ads if the phones are just ringing automatically.
Right.
And so some decisions have to be made there. Then to our call takers, how do we handle phone calls? We have a different script where we move it that gets us through phone calls quicker.
Right.
Because right now, one of the things that I really love about my call takers is and I don't want to scare folks off, but if you call our office, if you're a talker for sure, you can spend 20 minutes with my call taker making an appointment. I mean, Susie has come back to me so many times and go, "We have the sweetest lady that called, and I'm sending so and so out. Andrew's going to go see her, but oh my gosh, she was telling me about her dog, and we did, and they just they're people.
Right.
But we have a script that we shift to during a storm so that we can get calls through quicker, so
Through
we don't have
faster,
the
yeah.
backlog of the voicemail. We also have a system in place that if you leave us a voicemail and we will call you back, or if you send us in something, we ask you actually to go to our website and log in, not log in, but just
Send
send us a message.
Yeah.
Then we get your email address. Then we will send you back a link that you can schedule a time for us to call you back.
Yeah.
Because what would happen is people would go, "Well, I keep trying to call you and I keep getting voicemail."
Right.
And so, because the phones are clogged up. And so then I would have one person sit over here that would say, "Okay, somebody scheduled for me to call them back at 10:05. Somebody scheduled me to call them back at 10:15. Somebody scheduled me to call them back." And we would be outbounding calls at that time. So that's one of the things we've put in place.
I want to go back a moment, Alan. You want a steady, profitable, stable company.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you're a little bit risk averse.
Mm-hmm.
I have two thoughts on this. One thought is, yeah, that makes total sense. Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's slow it down. Let's build something that's sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I don't kind of respect that. I respect that a lot. Then the other thought that coincides with that almost immediately is that it's very counter to what's becoming extremely popular right now. I mean, extremely popular. There's even books. Benjamin Hardy, his most recent book is essentially, what is it? He wrote 2 times, 10 times is easier than 2 times, and then he doubled down on that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's essentially telling people like, no, you should grow 10x and you should do it in 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going, you should go from 10 million to 100 million and do it in 2 or 3 years. And if you're not doing it that way, you're not doing it right. Which I really don't agree with. And the book has more subtleties than that. But to me, I think that philosophy is hot and it'll sell a lot of books. It'll probably sell a lot of consulting, but I think it's going to destroy a lot of businesses along the way.
Yeah, I agree.
So I just want to say, I think that your idea is a good one. But then the next thing that brings me to is get steady, get profitable, get stable. And I think the type of people that are saying that, we haven't dug into this yet, tend to be the type of people that are thinking about a long hold and are transitioning it to family or internal people. So I'm curious why you say get steady, get profitable, get stable, because that feels like it sounds to me like what you're saying is I want a business that I can start working out and enjoy because I have a long horizon. I don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
done in 5
Mm-hmm.
years. I want to do this for 10, 15, 20 years. But maybe that's not the case. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to read between the
Well, as I
lines.
mentioned before, I love to work. I just, one of the things that I worry a little bit, my grandmother told me, Mama told me that I needed to always have a hobby. She said, because when you get old, you need to have something to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about that almost every day because I don't have a hobby. My hobby is working.
Right.
I just really do enjoy it. It's not a stressor. It's not a gruel. It's not, I work because I love it. And so, yeah, retirement, I don't know that I will ever retire. But that doesn't mean that I won't move on to some other things. Um, yeah, I don't know what the future holds. It's hard to say. I mean, we've had people that have approached us about partnerships. We've had people that have approached us about selling. We've had people that have approached us about moving into other areas. And part of it is I want it to be something that the team is proud they built, and that whatever we do with it in the end, it still lives on.
hmm
I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know, Todd, if or you, Stacie, have ever seen a guy on social media called Simon Squibb, but he's an English guy and he wrote a book called What's Your Dream, and he goes around interviewing people about what their dream is, and then he tries to help them achieve their dream.
Mhm.
If it's to open a restaurant or to be a pop singer or whatever it might
Mhm.
be. But I'm sitting here thinking about you, and you were saying you didn't have hobbies, but what strikes me about you over the last hour or so, Stacie, is your passion for helping people.
Mhm.
And I think when you stop working, you're going to be involved in something around helping people develop. And I don't know if that's coaching or if that's mentoring, or boys and girls clubs or whatever it might be. But you just strike me as the type of person that if you're not in an 8 to 5 or whatever it might be, or in our world an 8 to 8.
Yeah.
It's maybe it's around helping people somewhere.
I could see that. I've got to think 4 ladies that I mentor now. That and I enjoy that. I enjoy that conversation and stuff. So yeah. So that
So
that
you do
looks
have a hobby, Stacie.
yeah.
Yeah. So in plumbing and HVAC, you've started over,
Mhm.
right? So what are you doing differently this time?
Oh, that's a really good question. So it goes a little bit back to putting my foot down, kind of. And I say me a lot. It's really me and Scott. We really are a team. We are 2 totally opposite, but it takes both of us to make this happen. But we have always been a residential service company with Kanga.
Mm-hmm.
It's always what we do this much commercial stuff, but
Right.
it's stuff that really is in the residential realm, like churches.
Right.
They're big houses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And so that's really where our heart is. And so the HVAC and plumbing prior leadership was in a little different direction. And it wasn't the direction we wanted to go. But at the same time, we had given them the authority to run with it for a year in that direction. And so it didn't work out as well as we thought it would. And so, I kind of go back and go, why didn't I just say, no, we're sticking in the residential service market, that's what we originally wanted to do.
Right.
Okay. So that's one of the big things is that we're sticking to what we know.
Yeah.
Okay. It's and I get that. I spent 20 years at Texas Mutual, and it was some of the best leadership that I ever got out of that company. And one of the things that I always remember is it's one of the most ethical insurance companies you'll ever find. And our CEO used to say that what we do very, very well. And that's why we stick to what we do. We don't go out into other areas. We don't get into other stuff. We don't go into car insurance and general liability insurance and all this kind of stuff because we're really, really, really good at this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that stuck with me. And so that's really what we're really good at is the residential service market. So let's stick with that.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying. And I don't want to say that's basics, but the point is you're sticking to basics.
Yeah.
It is basics. It is 100% basics.
So what basics are you going to double down on this time around?
So this time around, the what I'm doubling down on is what's required of the staff with regard to processes. Okay, we got to have our processes down so that we're consistent. We got to have. If I want our customers, to get the same experience, if you go out and talk to them about an HVAC system, or if you go out and talk to them about an HVAC system, they're going to be different somewhat because your personalities are different. Okay, but for the most part, they're going to get the same experience. That's one of the things that I really, really, really want. I doubled down on that with Kanga, and it's worked. Now, all of my sales guys are all different. And based on who the call's in, my call takers know if it's somebody in Sun City, they're sending Andrew because Andrew is fantastic with those customers. If it is somebody who has said anything about sports, Craig's going because Craig is fantastic with those people. So they don't treat them all the same, but our processes are the same.
Right.
They talk about the same things. They fill out the same forms. They fill them out the same way. There's a structure to it. And that's one of the things that I'm making sure that we're going to do right.
Yeah.
Everybody's not going to do their own thing. And I understand when we have folks that come in that go, I've been doing this for 15 years and my way works. That's great that your way works for you.
Yeah. Being on the sales and service side of things, you were talking about the process and we're going to do things, everyone's going to do these certain things. I think the thing that I'm taking away from this, and sometimes I think folks struggle with it because when they think about an approach, whether it's Certain Path or Nexstar or what have you, it always comes back to a script. And what is interpreted, especially from a technician or salesperson's point of view, is that script and every word of it must be followed. And what you said is different and I think is more accurate, which is to say we have key steps in our process, such as our diagnostic form or our checklist form or our roofing inspection form or our financial paperwork. Those are all the things that
Yes.
everyone must get the same experience on. And yes, you might have a standard brandable way of saying it was my pleasure to do that if you're Chick-fil-A, but they're not going to script every single word for you in
Yeah.
between.
Right.
There's still room for personality.
You can't turn them into robots, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're going to start off with this is the way we're going to do things. Too many times, we have hired folks that go, I've done this forever and I've got a great way of doing it. And a little bit the lazy side says, great, go do it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay. And no, this is not going to work. No, this is what we're going to do. And either you can get on board with that or you can understand this is not the place for you. Does not mean you're a bad person. Does not mean that just means this isn't the place for you. And I'll do what I can to help you find something else where it is the place for you.
Yeah.
Because, no longer will I let somebody come in and go, we're doing it my way. No, because at the end of the day, like you said, it's our baby.
It's your baby. Yeah.
It's our baby.
Well, I remember as we were growing and I was looking at the bigger companies in our market and what they were doing and what they weren't doing. one thing that struck me was the customer experience was totally dependent with these large companies. In a lot of cases, the customer experience was totally dependent on who stepped out of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And what I always said was, I want to be like McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, where the experience is the same every single time, regardless of who's delivering it. I mean,
Mhm.
I probably in Chick-fil-A more than I should be, but I will tell you that the experience is the same all the time.
Mhm.
Like, you pull up at a drive-through McDonald's, which thankfully I don't do very often anymore, but um, that brown bag is going to come out. You're going to be offered fries with the hamburger.
Mhm.
It's totally standardized. And
Absolutely.
so I think getting that right, like having a process that your people follow without turning them into a robot. So let their personality shine. Like if Andrew's
Absolutely.
really good in Sun City, send him to Sun City.
Yep.
If so and so's good over there, send them over there. That's great. But I think you absolutely have to have a standard approach that your people must follow.
Mhm.
They must park the truck the way the truck's supposed to be parked. They must approach the door the way the door is supposed to be approached. They must at least include certain things with the
Mhm.
customer,
Mhm.
offering club
Yep.
memberships or free roof inspections, whatever it might be. But
But
I totally get what you're saying.
here's what I found. Here's the hard lesson I found of when I don't do that. Here's the financial reason
Mm-hmm.
to do it, because there's a customer service reason to do it. You
Yeah.
want good experience. You want to assure your customers good, consistent experience. The financial reason to do it is because if you don't, which I didn't at one point, and they all kind of do their own little thing, they leave and go work somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And guess who's left paying the bill for that customer because they didn't follow your system?
Mm-hmm.
Or guess who can't tell the customer, no, I know that we covered that because that's on our inspection sheet.
Right.
Guess who has to write the check and has to take care of it?
That's right.
That's me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I've become pretty hard on no, we're going to do it our way.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Scott and Stacie have to write the check
Right.
That's right. That's
when it
right.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know what it almost reminds me of is this is going to sound strange, but it reminds me of the scientific method.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that in a long time.
Well, and here's the reason why. If you think about the scientific method, it's probably the greatest invention of mankind. Like, really, it probably is. A mindset is probably the greatest invention of mankind because all other great inventions came from it. And the scientific method essentially says you come up with a hypothesis and then you test it across a bunch of trials. And if this hypothesis proves true often enough, then you can dictate that this is a thing that is just true and we're going to believe it. Now, if it makes its way to a law, it says this is always true. It's fundamental. You can count on it 100% of the time. Most things, even in the scientific method, don't make their way all the way to law,
Yeah.
but they get pretty close to it and they go,
Mhm.
it's true enough. We can count on it.
Mm-hmm.
In business, when we go, like, what are the things that we're going to do that we're going to turn into a system or a process?
Mm-hmm.
I think what happens is oftentimes we don't follow the scientific method because the scientific method is not intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
Intuitively, we just go by the gut. The scientific method says, well, this is what my gut says. Let me test it. And if we can look at the data and the data goes, no, that doesn't work. Yeah, but my gut says it does. We're choosing to make a bad decision. If we look at a diagnostic
Yep.
checklist and go, what's fascinating about a diagnostic checklist is that when we use it and we use it consistently, we cut down on callbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
boost average tickets.
Yes.
There are all these very basic things that we do, and we go, you know what? Well, we're going to employ that. At one point in time, there was an opinion that things like beards on men was going to downgrade your average tickets. But the scientific method says, let's test that. And what you realize, you start looking at the highest average tickets, oftentimes, more often than not, they're men with beards.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going, well, this doesn't make sense. Clearly, that information was wrong and inaccurate
Mm-hmm.
Or changed over time.
or changed
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah, it's kind of like tattoos.
Yeah.
It's changed over time.
Or changed
Yeah.
over time. So we wouldn't call that a law. It would be somewhere right below there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I like what you're saying here. All right, so Stacie, we're kind of coming to an end of this one, and this one is all about the future.
Mhm.
And you're optimistic. You're excited about your people.
Mhm.
You're aiming for a steady, profitable, stable company, and you're very different in a lot of ways from the guests that we've had on here. And the biggest ways is that you're suffering a little bit of bumps and bruises, and it's fresh.
Mhm.
It's new.
Mhm.
And what I want to say to you, because I'm not 100% sure, we haven't been in an ongoing coaching relationship. What I want to say to you is go for that steady, profitable, stable company. I think that's very wise. And when some of these bruises heal up a little bit and you start believing that there is a much bigger future, because there is, I'd also say make a plan and go for it. Because I think that you got to give yourself a little bit of room, even in your risk aversion, to go, hey, I'm in this moment, this season. I need to be here.
Mhm.
But no, a time of growth will come.
Yeah.
And when that time of growth comes, again,
Absolutely. We'll take advantage of it.
take advantage
We
of it.
will.
Also,
We will.
also
Yeah.
call me, because I'll
Yep.
still be the guy
Yep.
going, let's
Hold
employ the
up.
scientific method to
Mhm.
this.
Yep. Yep.
Stacie, what I would say to you is, you just built a huge house, right?
Mhm.
So look on it like building a huge house. What you're doing now in the next year, 18 months, is you're pouring the foundation.
Amen.
That's a
And
good way to put it.
and if you
Amen.
get that foundation right,
Yep.
and this happens again,
Good way to put it.
you can build that
Mm-hmm.
20,000 square foot house if you
Mhm.
want to, right?
Mhm.
Or $20 million business or $30 million business, whatever it might be. But if the foundation's not right,
Mhm.
it'll wobble again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so get the foundation right. I think you're doing exactly the right things. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Stacie.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Wonderful, Stacie. Thank you.
This was an amazing episode. You had someone come in here and share a very vulnerable truth about themselves in episode 1, and then showed us where they're going in episode 2. You know, this is the $100 million mindset, because the $100 million mindset isn't just about what you're doing when you're winning. It's about what happens when you trip and you fall over and you got to get back up and you got to brush things off and go forward again. Stacie shared that with us. And this is what you should do. This is what I'm asking you to do, because you should do this, listener. If you found value here, you should share this, and you should tag a friend. And if you know Stacie, you should tag her. Show appreciation. Help her understand that we all support her in this moment.
Yeah, and Stacie, I will say this has been a very different podcast for us. Wouldn't you agree, Todd?
I would.
And I read a study one time that said the greatest quality of a CEO is humility. And I think you have humility and vulnerability in spades. And I think that, you know, if you continue on the path you're on, and we all have made mistakes. Like, I've paid so much stupid tax on my time. You know, you're learning from your mistakes. You're going back to building that foundation, and your company's just going to blossom. So congratulations on that. I hope the listeners and the viewers found it as fascinating as we did to partake in it. And yeah, share it and tell everybody about it, because we're interviewing a winner here today.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for watching the show this week. Head over to toddliles.com/mindset to get the show notes. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you never miss a new episode of the show. And if you enjoyed this episode, then share it. It really helps us get the word out. You've been watching the $100 Million Mindset with Alan O'Neill and Table Lounger Todd Liles.